Everybody, it's Brian Shannon from alphatrends.net. Today's Saturday, the 15th of August, 2020. Hope you had a good week. The equities did pretty much up across the board. Biotechs were the notable exception, as well as bonds, and the volatility index was lower. Let's take a look at the charts and make some sense of it. The daily time frame, we are close to an all-time high in the SPY. The SPY is the ETF, of course, for the S&P 500. We're still above a rising 20, 50, and 200-day moving average. Looking to the 30-minute time frame, we had a little bit of a pullback here earlier in the week. It did come down to this prior high, and now our key level that we want to see hold next week will be about that 332 level. As long as we remain above 332, we are innocent till proven guilty. Keep an eye on this volume weighted average price as well. It will be coming in right in that general area. So the theme remains the same. The S&P 500 is getting a little bit extended, but the trend is higher. Only a fool sells short into an uptrend. The Nasdaq didn't make a new all-time high this week, but it came close to it. We were looking at the potential early in the week, if you saw my midweek video, that maybe we were going to see some deeper pullback, and I was suggesting that if it ran up to or fell short of that 5-day moving average and then started to roll over, we would want to maybe get short if you were an aggressive trader. Well, it never did that. Instead, the buyers regained control and maintained that control, so there was no short sale to take. We want to anticipate all potential scenarios, but wait for price confirmation before we take action, and there was no price confirmation. So these will remain the two key levels for next week. Early on in the week, or as the week progresses, we're going to keep an eye on that 270 level, and then below that the 264, 265 area. We're still riding that rising 20-day moving average amazingly. A couple weeks ago I thought maybe we were going to start to see more of a time correction, but instead we rallied up. I was talking about the potential from a failed move could come a fast move lower, but again, we wait for evidence before we get involved. If we anticipate a move like this, that's fine. But if we instead say, hey, it's at resistance, and sell short, that's stupid. We only know what resistance is after the fact, so we anticipate all potential scenarios and wait for price confirmation before we actually participate and put our money at risk. The Russell 2000 is outperforming a little bit here as expected. It ran through this prior peak, and now just a nice light volume consolidation pullback in here. So the Russell 2000, I've been suggesting to subscribers that they take a little bit, have a stop under here. However, what we don't ever do is set our stops before the market opens. So now the stop will go below this level here for at least a third of the position, and we're going to be looking for this market hopefully to be able to outperform to the upside, keeping an eye on, I think, the most important level down at about 154. The semiconductors have been the strongest group, and in here also we were looking at the potential that maybe it could rally up, fall short of that 5-day moving average, then the 5-day moving average would start to decline. I had drawn that in right here at the end of this day. Of course, that didn't happen. The buyers regained control. So that potential scenario goes out the window, and we say, let's trade what is, not these potential scenarios, unless they're confirmed by price action. So next week, 170 and then down at 167 are the key levels. I update these levels each and every day for Alpha Trend subscribers. The Biotechs, I've been mentioning these as an avoid because we're below the declining 5-day moving average. We were looking for the possibility of a long over here if it had done something like this and made a higher high above that flat to rising 5-day moving average. Instead, the market failed, so there's no reason to be involved. Cash is a position. If the market doesn't agree with what our potential scenario is, we just leave it alone. Listen to the messages of the market. The market knows what we should be doing. Financials, as we know in here, we've been looking for them to run up to that declining 200-day moving average. They fell short of it this week, but still healthy overall. We've got a rising 5-day moving average, so I think that from an intermediate term perspective, your worst case stop right now should be underneath this low right in here. If it breaks below that, then you've got a chance that it comes back down to that 20-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, and I wouldn't want to be a buyer of that. Hopefully last week you'd seen that the PGNY, I had mentioned this Sunday evening as a buy candidate above here. It took off nicely and is continuing to move higher. Right now, any stop should be below this low because that's the highest relevant low with a rising 5-day moving average. We got involved in GoDaddy this week on Alpha Trends, and if you look at the weekly chart in monthly time frame, it looks like maybe this thing could make it a run for all-time highs and hold on to them. They had an event which was earnings over here, and you can see that the volume weighted average price from that earnings report started to hold as resistance. It jumped back above it, and then we also held the volume weighted average price from the pullback low. So those two places came together to become a beautiful place for a stop for us, and we purchased right here at $80 per share as it broke this high of $79.99. Now our stop is still below this level. For next week, I think some of the things you want to keep an eye on. One, Coinbase. Not Coinbase, but Litecoin. I said Coinbase because that's where this chart actually comes from. I don't trade at Coinbase. I can't stand Coinbase. I think you go to Gemini.com if you want to trade these things. But this is where this chart data is from on this TrendSpider chart. You can see that if you had watched my Twitter stream, I was saying that it looks like it's building some energy to break through this volume weighted average price, and a stop should go under here. Well, obviously that stop got shaken out. I got back involved over here on Thursday, I think it was, at 57.60 or so. I still think that what happened here is that this was a little shakeout. It broke below the volume weighted average price from the test of this volume weighted average price, and now it's likely near term to head towards 65. If it can make it up through that, a longer term objective is most likely the volume weighted average price from the all-time high. That you can see it found resistance right here in June of 2019, and then that volume weighted average price has been tested twice. So if it can break through this level, which was also the volume weighted average price from this low, I think you're going to see it run north of $100 on Coinbase and whatever other platform you trade on. For me, again, it's Gemini, but Litecoin is the best looking of the cryptos. I'm not a crypto guy. I trade them once in a while. Some other names I'm going to keep an eye on next week. NCR. We actually had a beautiful trade in this. We bought it right here in Alpha Trends, got out of our last bit right at this point. So from just under, I think it was $18.76. Got out of our last bit right here, and the thing is, it's consolidating nicely. We've seen a nice volume run up, light volume consolidation. So I'm going to be watching this one again, possibly for during this week, and I'll update that as I do every day for subscribers to Alpha Trends. PS is another one. This one came public back in 2018. Here's the volume weighted average price from the IPO, and you can see that that has been a level of contention. So now that we've battled it a little bit, it looks like it's ready to break through. We've got the volume weighted average price from the high of last year we're holding above, as well as from that gap lower, and of course from this low, and from this low as well. So we've got a 20 and 50-day moving average it's holding above. As far as the volume weighted average price from this peak, here's what it really kind of needs to do to get going is something like this. I'm thinking I'll probably buy it this week. A worst case stop would go under here. Make the trade your own. That's the way I see it setting up today. This is on Saturday. I have no idea if it's going to open at $19.50 on Monday, then I want nothing to do with it. It's a potential scenario where we anticipate all potential scenarios and wait for price confirmation before we get involved. SPT, Sprout Social. Here's a nice looking daily chart. It's been a little bit choppy lately, so keep that in mind, the personality of the stock. But I think that if it gets back above last week's high, right around that 32.46 level, to get involved with a stop under here, 29.97, would make sense. That's my style. That's how I look at the market. Make the trades your own. Trade them. Don't trade them. Don't listen to anybody else except for maybe find an idea, but then again, adjust each and every trade for your time frame, your risk tolerance. Maybe you don't like the personality of this stock. That's fine. Don't listen to anyone. Make every idea your own. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you next week.